This is an article written by Sean Rose. The article's title, Kentucky Inmates Turned Actors Explore Selves Through Shakespeare Play. Paragraph 1. Jean Vaughn waited nervously behind two swinging doors in the prison chapel of the Luther Luckett Correctional Complex. On any other day, this would be just a chapel, and Vaughn would be just one of the 1,072 inmates locked in the medium security Oldham County Prison. But on a recent June night, Vaughn and 23 other inmates became characters in Shakespeare's Merchant of Venice, reviewing their lines in the final moments before the curtain drew back on opening night. Paragraph 4. For some, the 9 months they spent preparing marked their first foray into acting. For others, it was a journey into self-exploration, a chance to review past mistakes and analyze an uncertain future. I used to think that acting was acting, that it was just something I'd be good at, that all of us convicts would be good at, said cast member Jerry Gunther, who is serving 45 years for murder. We live a lie, but in here, our acting is not acting, it's telling the truth. Paragraph 6. Each year, the Shakespeare Behind Bars program at Luther Luckett takes on a new play. Their stage is converted from a chapel within the razor-wire ringed state prison near LaGrange. Shakespeare understood the human condition like nobody else, said Matt Wallace, now in his third year directing the program of inmate performances. The themes that are in these plays resonate so deeply in these guys. Through these plays, they're digging up some of the most painful and horrific parts of their lives. Since October, the cast and crew has gathered 3 times a week to prepare for performances that began June 2nd and will wrap up Thursday. 8 shows put on to entertain other inmates, the cast members' families, and state correction officials. The actors are a varied group, serving sentences from 4 years to life without parole for a host of crimes, including sex offenses, robbery, and murder. And those backgrounds help them identify with Shakespeare's characters in a way many outside prison walls can't. At the heart of the play is Shylock, a Jewish money lender played by Vaughn, a convicted murderer serving a 40-year sentence. Ostracized because of his religion, Shylock tries to exact revenge upon a hateful rival who comes to him for a loan, demanding that he wager his life against the loan. It deals with race. It deals with discrimination. It deals with gambling, debt, cutting people. It deals with it all. Tim Jett, an inmate serving as assistant director, said in an interview during early rehearsal. And we were all living that some way, somehow. We were all living it. Every man must play a part. Paragraph 13. Putting on a full-length Shakespeare production in a prison setting brings a host of unique challenges. Rehearsals rarely last more than 2 hours because of the prison's daily schedule. Some men quit, and others are forced to drop out if they're sent to solitary confinement or shipped to another institution. Some finish their sentences and are released. Jett, after 5 years behind bars for sexual abuse, served out his term in April. To the rest of the crew, he was the luckiest man in Shakespeare Behind Bars. But Jett thought otherwise and decided to write a letter asking Secretary of Justice and Public Safety J. Michael Brown to defer his release for 60 days so he could stay until the end of the show. He received no response and was released in March. Unlike other prison programs, Shakespeare Behind Bars offers no good time or credits for early release. The only thing they get for being in this is the satisfaction of completing something, said Josh Lewis, a classification and treatment officer who is the program's sponsor. Do we not bleed? Paragraph 20. Early rehearsals were rough. The prison radios drowned out the actors' lines, and the Elizabethan speech taxed some of the play's 8 new members. But the cast and crew eventually formed a bond that turned the gatherings into a mixture of theater work and group therapy. Although many of them have trusted few people in their lives, they increasingly confided in each other. Before opening night, with all on edge, Wallace sought to refocus their attention on what's important. He asked everyone to go around and explained why they joined the program. Up went the hand of Gunther, a 13-year member and one of the elder statesmen of Shakespeare Behind Bars. This is the safest place in the world, Gunther told the other inmates. Gunther is the one of the more experienced actors in the group, having played Hamlet in a previous performance, but took a minor role this season because of a parole hearing in February. He hoped to be released after 25 years of a 45-year sentence for killing an undercover Shively police officer during a botched drug deal. Instead, the parole board ruled that he wouldn't be eligible for release for another 10 years. The news hit Gunther and his fellow Shakespeare cast hard. At 6'5" and 330 pounds, the former star high school offensive lineman brings an enthusiasm to the play that is contagious. The thing I always flash back to is how fast a bad decision can lead to a complete catastrophe, Gunther told the group. The only thing I can say is I was a kid and I didn't mean it for it to happen. You can't fix what's already broken, and God knows I wish I could. Vaughn, a close friend of Gunther, spoke up. Regardless of what you do, you're always going to be reminded of what you did, he said. Those in the circle nodded silently in agreement. Quality of mercy is not strained. Paragraph 32. Within each man's sentence is a separate punishment, one that many of them see as inescapable even after leaving prison. For the rest of their lives, they will be convicted felons. It's a burden they recognize as unavoidable, as much as a part of their lives as prison meals and daily dorm counts. Months into rehearsal, the members are quick to connect with Shylock's status as a second-class citizen amid his Christian neighbors. When Shylock lashes out, a small debate stirs among the men as to whether he is a victim or a villain. Judging a character outright is damaging, Wallace said, and the same applies to Shakespeare Behind Bars members, he said. Society has already judged them, Wallace said. It's going to do no good if I come in here and judge them for what they've done. Reading over The Merchant of Venice, Vaughn said, it just reminds you of yourself, of the things you've done in your life. As the season progressed, inmates dug deeper into their own lives through their characters, in some instances making peace with a past they'd rather forget. That was the case for Vaughn, who saw his link to Shylock through abuse. Vaughn said he was 6 years old when 2 neighbors sexually abused him. Until last year, he never told anyone, though, and the burden of the secret bore on him. Vaughn doesn't blame his situation in life on that, but he's sure he's acted more recklessly because of it. The recklessness reached critical mass on March 22nd, 1989, when Vaughn was involved in the death of a Louisville woman he met at a nightclub. He was sentenced to 40 years. I didn't care, Vaughn said of his life then. I didn't care what people thought about me. I didn't care what happened to me. At that point, you feel like nothing is going to change for you anyway. But that's where I was totally wrong. In prison and through Shakespeare, Vaughn said he has had time to contemplate mercy and how it offers something to aspire toward. When you have done something in your life so bad, you try to go about the right way to tell people that you're sorry, he said. But there's certain people you're not going to be able to say you're sorry to, like my victim's family. So I can only hope that somewhere in their life they can say, I forgive you to a certain extent. To me, that's some type of mercy. Outside to behold. Paragraph 45. About 50 inmates turned out for opening night, and after the final scene, they gave the performance a standing ovation. For those 2 hours, those 3 hours, you don't even feel like you're in prison, said inmate Kevin Hassan, a new Shakespeare member. You feel like you're in a theater outside of here. You don't feel the razor wire. After congratulations, the men hurried to change out of their costumes and get back to their dorms, first spreading their arms and legs at the chapel entrance to be frisked. There would be more performances, but for now, they were back on the prison schedule, and the 9 p.m. head count was just 10 minutes away.